Glass Horse Project's Beware the Ides, Distant Shakespeare series. I'm Taylor K. Corbett, the director of this production, and we are producing this in partnership with the Rotch-Jones-Duff House and Garden Museum. Due to COVID-related safety parameters, this episode of Beware the Ides is streaming live on YouTube via Zoom. A recording of this episode will be available on YouTube later tonight. Please stay tuned after the program for a talk back with myself and some of the actors. Tonight's episode features pieces from Caesar, the Glass Horse Project's female-led adaptation of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, Richard II, and Pericles. Our talented cast for the evening includes Angelique Dina, Blake Devane, Anastasia LaFrance, Kate Martin, Emily Entwistle, Riley Fortin, Julie Roundtree, and Mayreed Gandino. We would like to thank the Massachusetts Cultural Council for crucial funding to support this program. Please sit back and enjoy the episode. We're the Glass Horse Project, and we're shattering expectations.
Brutus, my love.
Portia, what mean you? Wherefore rise you now? It is not for your health thus to commit.
Or for yours neither. You ungently, Brutus, stole from my bed. And yesternight at supper you suddenly arose and walked about, musing and sighing with your arms across. When I asked you what the matter was, you stared upon me with ungentle looks. I urged you further, then you scratched your head and too impatiently stamped with your foot. Yet I insisted, yet you answered not, but with an angry wafture of your hand gave sign for me to leave you. So I did. I should not know you, Brutus. Dear, my love, make me acquainted with your cause of grief.
I am not well in health, and that is all.
Brutus is wise, and were she not in health, she would embrace the means to come by it.
Why, so I do. Good Portia, go to bed.
Is Brutus sick? And is it physical to walk unbraced and suck up the humors of the dank morning? What? Is Brutus sick? And will she steal out of her wholesome bed and dare the vile contagion of the night, and tempt the roomy and unpurged air to add unto her sickness? No. My Brutus, you have some sick offense within your mind, which by the right and virtue of my station I ought to know of. And upon my knees, I charm you by my once commended beauty and by all of your vows of love, and that great vow which did incorporate and make us one, that you unfold to me yourself, your half, why you are heavy. And what men tonight have had resort to you, for here have been some 3 or 4 who did hide their faces even from darkness.
Kneel not, gentle Portia.
I should not need if you were gentle, Brutus. Within the bond of marriage, tell me, Brutus, is it accepted I should know no secrets that appertain to you? Am I yourself but in sort or limitation to keep with you at meals, comfort your bed, and talk to you sometimes? If it be no more, Portia is Brutus's harlot, not her wife.
You are my true and honorable wife, as dear to me as the ready drops that visit my sad heart.
If this were true, then should I know this secret? Tell me your counsels. I will not disclose them. I have made strong proof of my constancy. Giving myself a voluntary wound here in the thigh, can I bear that with patience and not my wife's secrets?
O ye gods, render me worthy of this noble wife.
This way the king will come. This is the way to Julius Caesar's ill-erected tower, to whose flint bosom my condemned lord is doomed a prisoner by proud Bolingbroke. Here, let us rest, if this rebellious earth have any resting for her true king's queen. But soft, but see, or rather, do not see my fair rose wither. Yet look up, behold, that you in pity may dissolve to dew, and wash her fresh again with true love tears. Ah, thou, the model where old Troy did stand, thou map of honor, thou King Richard's tomb, and not King Richard, thou most beauteous inn. Why should hard-favored grief be lodged in thee, when triumph is become an alehouse guest?
Join not with grief, fair woman. Do not so to make my end too sudden. Learn, good soul, to think our former state a happy dream, from which awakes the truth of what we are shows us but this. I am sworn sister, sweet to grim necessity, and he and I shall keep a league till death. Hie thee to France, and cloister thee in some religious house. Our holy lives must win a new world's crown, which our profane hours here have stricken down.
What? Hath my Richard both in shape and mind been transformed and weakened? Hath Bolingbroke deposed thine intellect? Hath he been in thy heart? The lion, dying, thrusteth forth his paw and wounds the earth, if nothing else, with rage to be o'erpowered. And wilt thou, pupil-like, take thy correction mildly, kiss the wrong, and fawn on rage with base humility, which art a lion and a king of beasts?
A king of beasts indeed, if I but beasts! I had been still a happy king of men. Good sometime, queen, prepare thee for France. Think I am dead, and that even here thou takest out from my deathbed my last living leave. In winter's tedious night, sit by the fire with good old folks, and let them tell thee tales of woeful ages long ago betide, and ere thou bid good night to quit their griefs, tell them the lamentable tale of me. And send the hearers weeping to their beds, for why the senseless brands will sympathize to the heavy accent of thy moving tongue, and in compassion weep the fire out. And some will born in ashes, some coal black, for the deposing of a rightful king.
My lady, the mind of Bolingbroke hath changed. You must to Pomfret, not unto the tower. And madam, there is an order attained for you. With swift speed you must away to France.
Northumberland. The ladder wherewithal the mounting Bolingbroke ascend my throne. The time shall not be many hours of age more than it is, ere foul sin gathering head shalt break into corruption. Thou shalt think, though he divide the realm and give thee half, it is too little, helping him to all. And he shall think, thou, which know'st the way to plant unrightful kings, will know again, being there so little urged, another way to pluck him headlong from the usurped throne. The love of wicked men converts to fear. That fear to hate, and hate turns one or both to worthy danger or deserved death.
My guilt be on my head, and there an end. Take leave and part, for you must part forthwith.
Doubly divorced, bad men, thou violate a twofold marriage twixt my crown and me, and betwixt me and my married wife. Let me unkiss the oath twixt thee and me, and yet not so, for a kiss 'twas made. Part us, Northumberland, I to the north, where shivering cold and sickness pines the clime. my wife to France. From whence set forth in pomp she came, adorned hither like sweet May, sent back like Hallowmas or shortst of day.
Must we be divided? Must we part?
Aye. Hand from hand, my love, and heart from heart.
Banish us both, and send the king with me.
That were some love, but little policy.
Then whither she goes, thither let me go.
So two together weeping make one woe. Weep thou for me in France, I for thee here. Better far off than near, be never than near. Go count thy way with sighs, I mine with groans.
So longest way shall have the longest moans.
Twice for one step I'll groan, the way being short, and piece the way out with a heavy heart. Come, come, in willing sorrow let's be brief, since wedding it there is such length in grief. One kiss shall stop our mouths, dumb we part. Thus give I mine, and thus I take thy heart.
Give me mine own again. 'Twere no good part to take on me, to keep and kill thy heart. So, now I have mine own again. Be gone, that I might strive to kill it with a groan.
We make woe wanton with this fond delay. Once more. Adieu. The rest let sorrow say.
Do anything but this thou doest. Empty old receptacles or common shores of filth. Serve thy indenture to the common hangman. Any of these ways are yet better than this. For what thou professest, a baboon, could he speak, would own a name too dear. Oh, that the gods would safely deliver me from this place. Here's a gold for thee, if that thy master would gain by me. Proclaim that I can sing, weave, sew, and dance, with other virtues which I will keep from boast, and I will undertake all of these to teach. I doubt not that this populous city will yield many scholars. Here. I think it is the weakness of my mind that makes this monstrous apparition comes upon me. Or art thou anything? Art thou some god? Some angel? Or some devil that makest my blood and cold in my hair to stare? Or speak to me what thou art.
Thy evil spirit, Brutus.
Why comest thou?
to tell thee thou shalt see me at Philippi.
Well, I'll see thee again.
Aye, at Philippi.
Why, I'll see thee at Philippi then. Now, I have taken heart. Thou vanishest, O spirit! I would hold more talk with thee. Oh, Metellus! Metellus, awake!
Yes, my lady.
Didst thou dream, Metellus, that thou so criest out?
My lady, I did not know that I did cry.
Yes, thou didst. Didst thou see anything?
Nothing, my lady.
Go and commend me to my brother Cassius. Bid him sit on his powers betimes before, and we will follow.
It shall be done, my lady.
Thank you for tuning in to the Glass Horse Project's production of Beware the Ides, a socially distant Shakespeare series. Join us each night through Saturday, August 8th at 8 p.m. on YouTube Live for more programming. If you like what you saw, please consider donating to our GoFundMe campaign, which is currently being promoted on the Facebook event page for this series, and there's a link in the description. Thank you, and have a good night.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our talk back and interviews for episode 3 of Beware the Ides. We also have our director, Taylor K. Corbett, this evening as well. And for our lovely, lovely actors, we have Blake Devaney, Riley Fortin, and Anastasia LaFrance. Oh, everybody waved. That was so nice. I like that. And my name is Megan Ruggiero. I am the production manager of Beware the Ides, and I will be moderating our talk back this evening. If you have any questions for our actors or director, please send them through to the live stream, and we'll make sure we get those in front of our participants this evening. But we will kick things off with a question for Taylor, who is currently at the Rotch-Jones-Duff house, where we were supposed to be doing a production of Caesar, which we will now be moving to 2022, the next election year. But due to COVID, we ended up pivoting digitally for this production and coming up with some fantastic pieces for our actors to do in episodic format. So Taylor, one thing that we haven't talked about yet in this interview series is queer representation in our rendition of Caesar. So I was wondering if you wanted to speak to that a little bit, both, you know, within the pieces that we've added to the digital series, but also Caesar as a whole.
Sure. So for those of you who may not know, I am a queer person. So whenever I'm working on a Shakespeare thing, someone's like, let's make it gay. I'm like, yes. But, you know, you can't do anything without a reason for doing it. And one thing that has certainly lacked is just in media in general has been good queer representation. I mean, it's always put in this context of being like a struggle for the family to accept somebody, or that the coming out story, or if it's a trans person, the transition is the only part of the story that matters. But in taking characters like Brutus and Caesar and making them into women and keeping their wives with the same gender, we get to get these really sweet, intimate relationships that just exist without having to be, you know, this big thing about the drama of being queer. They can just be queer, and that can just be a normal thing that exists within the play. Yeah, I think I answered pretty.
I think that's pretty solid. Yeah.
Pretty
yeah.
solid answer.
So we're gonna, speaking of gender flipping and such, we're gonna go over to Anastasia, who has played a couple of roles that are traditionally men within our series. So Anastasia, I was wondering if you had a favorite of these roles that you've been playing in our series, and if so, what your reasoning is for why you've really enjoyed playing that character.
It's definitely Mark Antony, like without a doubt. Not only just because like that's what I'll be playing in 2022, but I feel like what the role has brought me to is much more special than the other ones. And I talked a bit about this with you throughout the rehearsal process and with our assistant director Corey, that, you know, Mark Antony's up there, you know, especially in our production. No one wants her there. No one wants to be listening to her right now at all. You know, besides her being a woman, and I'll get into that, her best friend is swooned in front of her, and you're gonna come and reason with us. You know what I mean? It's so on that end, you know, she's like already being ignored. The other way, you know, with her being a woman, see, in our Caesar, I feel like Caesar is murdered because she's a woman in power. And the men go, okay, we need to get this other woman to agree with us that she needs to go. So they take Brutus, you know, and hey, Brutus is a woman, she agrees with us. So now here I am, the only other woman, my best friend is slain, and I need to, you know, bring some light to these people. And I take a lot of inspiration from people like AOC, and Julia Gillard over in Australia with I Will Not Be, you know, lectured by sexual assault by this man I will not speech. So yeah, and I think the work behind Mark Antony is most special to me among the three.
Why do you think Antony's speech has become one of the most iconic in all of Shakespeare's canon?
So I mean, of course, you know, it's brilliantly written. You know, we can go into that. You know, the rhetoric, it's fantastic. But I actually read that when people would go to see Caesar and Mark Antony would start in his friends Roman's countrymen, the audience had a lot of participation there. Like they were encouraged to like be booing him, be yelling at him, you know, be throwing the rotten tomatoes, you know, as we say, at him. So I think that was like their favorite part. Like that was like that's like going to see like Britney Spears and she starts in with Toxic, you know, like that's what you're here for. Like that slaps, and everyone's in on it. And so I think that just became like the iconic part of the piece, and it was, you know, copied and copied and copied as Shakespeare's stuff does. And now we have like a SpongeBob episode where he quotes, he's like friends, classmates, juvenile delinquents, you know. So we really, yeah, it's everyone's favorite. So that's funny. That's why, like, you know, to even the average non-theater goer, you say, hey, Shakespeare, and they either say to be or not to be, or they say, oh yeah, friends, Romans, countrymen.
It's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, girl. We're gonna move on to less iconic material over in Pericles. So Miss Riley, you actually selected this piece to be included in Beware the Ides. So
I did.
I'm hoping you would be able to share why you really latched onto this specific piece. And
Sure.
second question as follow-up, do you think that Pericles should be getting more love than it does in Shakespeare's canon?
I'll start with your second question. I absolutely think it should be getting more love because it's such a fantastic story, obviously. And I think people are almost afraid to go into it because there's so many different locations and countries, and the language is kind of weird, and it's lesser known to begin with. So I think that people almost are afraid of it, or they don't want to touch it because they don't want to mess it up, or they don't want to dive into it that deeply, because it does require that amount of work, and I think it requires a lot of editing and a lot of direction. So that naturally drew me to it. And I think specifically Marina, because she's so strong and she's so resilient, and I think that's so rare to be that strong in a woman in Shakespeare. I think in adaptations like in Much Ado, you can see the female characters really trying to be that strong force, but it's not in the language. But with Pericles and with Marina, it's right there in the text. The text fully supports it. It's in the language, it's in her actions, and it's in the plot of the show that she speaks for herself and she's not sorry about it. So that drew me to Marina, and I think that fits wonderfully with the theme of social justice and having a woman who is young. She's only a teenager who has really no parents, no family, nobody that she can turn to, having to speak up for herself and doing it.
Yeah, I think you're such a lovely natural fit for this role, and I've really enjoyed watching you grow this piece throughout the process. It's been really awesome to watch. Also, big props to Riley, who also served as our production assistant for the show. We did some breakout rehearsal sessions, so she was stage managing at one point. She did some awesome dramaturgy for us. She's just been a multi-talented.
It's super fun.
Speaking of other powerhouse ladies in this cast, we're gonna switch over to Miss Blake Devaney. So Blake, in episode 1, you brought us some Kate from Taming of the Shrew, and now we got to see you in the very dramatic role of Portia. And I was hoping you could talk a little bit about the similarities and differences in these women and what you were trying to bring to light in each of them. Maybe they're a little more alike than we think. So I'd love for you to speak about the two ladies that you've brought to us.
Yeah, I think something that's really great about both of these characters is they're both very strong women in different ways, but they're both very cognizant of what their strengths are. I think Kate is really, witty. She's really smart. She's also really good at being mean, and she's really good at getting what she wants using her meanness. Whereas Portia is really a more feminine strength, and she can be hard when she needs to be, but she also knows when to turn on the waterworks, when to appeal to the mushy gushy stuff to also get what she wants. So I think they're both equally really in control of how they're acting and why they're doing the things they're doing, but they know that their strengths are different. I'm taking myself off mute. Sorry, I realized that I was creating some weird feedback, so I took myself off for a bit. Completely agree, Blake. You've done a really good job of bringing different intricacies to the women throughout our rehearsal process. We just had a question come in from a Mark, who one of our actresses may know. What challenges did the actors face while developing the scene between Richard and the Queen? What is difficult creating a sense of tension and urgency over a live feed?
So first of all, I've never met Kate. And now she's my queen wife who I'm leaving forever, and I'm probably gonna go die. So it's been incredibly unique process creating this marriage over Zoom and everything we had, and I really kind of just had to equate it to losing someone who might in my life who might be like Kate or the Queen. We're in separate, brightly lit rooms in different spaces over Massachusetts, but no, we're not. We're in a dark street, maybe an alleyway, hiding out from Northumberland. I don't want him to find me just yet. I don't want to go yet. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a question that came in from our biggest fan on Thayer Street, who was a key player in our talk back last night. For all actors, so feel free for each of you to weigh in if you'd like. What was your favorite part of working on these pieces, and did you learn anything unexpectedly throughout the process?
I'll start if that's okay. For me, my favorite part, I guess this goes for all Shakespeare, but my favorite part is doing the research and like getting into like the text and the literature and finding all of those like little stories, like mythology references. That is always my favorite part. And it was such a joy with Marina because it's like a mystery. It's like a puzzle that you're trying to solve. And there's so many resources out there today. I mean, we have the whole internet to look up whatever words we don't know or anything. But I made some discoveries that I was really happy about with Diana, who's the Roman goddess of chastity and virginity, and that just it made so much sense with Marina, because in the play her mother is a priestess of Diana. So for me, discovering that, it just made so much sense, and it just made me so happy to find those little discoveries here and there. So I guess for what I unexpectedly learned was just to always do that second step, always to take a deeper look at it, because you never know what you're going to find. You never know what those discoveries are going to add to your performance.
Yeah, that's really great advice for any actor at any stage, for sure.
Yes, it is.
Our director agrees.
Very important to do that. I mean, I also, not to jump on any stuff, but I also do acting myself, and it's interesting when you come back to a monologue over and over and over again, because you can find a difference in thought from each sentence of like, oh, well, I'm thinking about this in this sentence, and then I see something over there that makes me think of a memory I had with this person, so now I bring that up, and that makes me think of another thing that we did. But yeah, continuously going back and finding each of those deeper meanings is really important. So, good advice.
Das and Blake, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, so especially with Mark Antony, I'm just so not a history buff. I just never like usually will take it upon myself to like watch like historical things, but I watched a ton about ancient Rome over the past couple of months, and it was really interesting to learn how much Shakespeare's Caesar is different from the actual, story of Caesar and Mark Antony and what have you. I think that the real historical facts are so much juicier in reality. Like with like who was it? It's one of the wives. I forget, but yeah, I was very surprised that like history it was a lot more interesting than Shakespeare's play. Not that I love it. Not that I don't love it, rather.
Blake.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was when working on the Kate monologue. The first time that Taylor told me she laughed at one of the jokes was a high point for me. I really struggled getting into that monologue at first. I usually do not enjoy being mean to people. And it took a while to get to a place where it was comfortable and fun and funny. And so it just felt like such tangible progress when Taylor was like, I actually laughed that time.
How kind of her to admit that.
Yeah, I'm real nice.
Taylor, oh wait, we have more. Oh no, this is from one of our cast members. So ask it, why not? So this is from Kate. So everyone should take more history classes, huh? Sauce.
Yes, everyone should be like me and not figure out a way to get out of history class for both junior and senior year of high school.
So Taylor, bringing it around to you. Do you have any last comments on crafting this particular episode for the series?
Well, just to get back into like the histories of things, just because it stops talking about it brings up a lot of really interesting thoughts. When you think about the differences between actual historical events and the plays, I mean, it's never once mentioned in all the texts of Caesar that Brutus's mother, Servilia, had been one of Caesar's many mistresses and had known Brutus from the age of 8. So there's just a lot of stuff that Shakespeare not necessarily didn't want to use, but maybe just didn't think was as important. But that was one thing when we started working on Caesar, is there's a blend between the actual historical fact and the show that gives it just a strong balance between the histories of all these characters. Because we don't really get to extrapolate on them. We just hear, oh, they're my friend, they're my lover, they're, all the other Roman words for friend that they use in the play. And you don't really realize how deep those relationships are until you go, what were the real people like? And then you start searching deep into it and you're like, oh, they've known each other for decades, and Mark Antony and Caesar saved each other's lives a couple of times, and that's why Mark Antony got elevated to being one of Caesar's generals. So there's just a lot of historical background that can be very informative when you're trying to build a three-dimensional character in these kind of shows.
Actually, this is a really great tie-in to a question we just got asked on the stream by a Mary W. Many high schools have given up on teaching Shakespeare. What is the value of exposure to the bard? And I think this is a question for anyone.
If I may, I would be so heartbroken if a school really did give up on teaching about Shakespeare. That's so sad. I think that Shakespeare is taught so stuffy and, highbrow and kind of untouchable, and Shakespeare just writes about the same problems that everyone goes through, the same relationship stuff, the same power struggles, and high school kids need to be exposed to that.
Yeah, and just the way that you have to approach Shakespeare is like Riley said, you have to go into it multiple times. You really have to understand. It's learning a new language. And if we take that kind of a lesson away from schools, then, you're not able to get these, these in-depth look at characters. You're not able to help a kid understand something new and understand how to look deeper into something in order to figure out what it means. And I would just be so lost if we didn't do that anymore.
Yeah, as a high schooler myself, I can say that my best memories in school was my sophomore year acting out the Scottish play every day in class. Like I had an excellent teacher who I think was in the audience tonight, shout out. And she just would arm us with like props, and we had swords and hats and just everything. We had like cups of water for the dinner scene, and she would set up the desks in an arrangement so that we could all like face each other, and we would each have a role, and whoever, you know, got to class first would have their first pick of a role. And it was so exciting, and it was so fun because we all got into it, and it was just so fun. And I'm not the only person who thinks that, and it's not just because I like Shakespeare already. It was because it was so immersive, and everyone got a chance to speak, even if they weren't crazy about the idea at first. Everyone got a chance to go up there and have a real role and participate. So I think that if Shakespeare was taught like that more often, then I think it wouldn't be so like frowned upon by students.
Like, did you have any last words on this one? Or are you good? Good? All right.
She's like, I don't want to talk anymore. Cut the camera.
all the Bardiness has been said. Well, I think we are a wrap for the evening. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. And I hope you'll all join us for the next 2 nights, Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. on the Glassworks Project YouTube at 8 p.m. And also, we are currently trying to solicit some donations for our upcoming season. If you could take a look at our Facebook page and our event page for Beware the Ides, any contribution would be phenomenal. We love all of you, and have a great night.
Good night.